And here is the second passage of mock 7. Now, if you look at this particular passage, what exactly is it that it talks about? It talks about a particular economic plan of action that America has chosen to use, and the international impacts of that. So the international fallout of US-China rivalry plus President Joe Biden's Made in America policies and how they have gone on to impact even their allies. So the very first paragraph talks about how the allies are unhappy. Then these two paragraphs give you the details of the American plan. So America's newly muscular industrial policy and what it is doing. The fourth paragraph, all that cash is attracting companies to the US, and thereafter the consequences or the fallout in the fifth and the sixth paragraph, right? Although in sixth paragraph we are also talking about these frictions should be seen as part of a learning process, and then we are saying that okay, there are some parts, some areas like European Union, Japan, Korea, they can afford to go some way. Then there are places like the UK, they'd not even be able to do it. And according to one such analyst, it is going to be self-defeating. The American policy is going to be self-defeating. Okay, so here is the very first question from the passage. Which of the following best explains the meaning of Mion's statement, frictions between allies including over the IRA should be seen as part of a learning process? So allies, frictions because of all the changes, and saying it is a learning process. Let us see which one of these answer choices captures that idea. Let's look at A. Tensions between allies over the IRA should be regarded as an inevitable byproduct of the US-China rivalry, which has created a complex geopolitical environment. Two problems with option A. Problem number one is that it limits itself to just IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, whereas IRA is just used as a representative example in the passage and not the core focus. And number two, it does not talk about learning process at all. This entire option talks just about the friction. Okay, so A is ruled out. In fact, I'd use the same reason to rule out option D as well. So you notice in D as well, we are talking about just the IRA, whereas it was given just as an example. So that's also taken off the table. Have a look at B. The conflicts between allies such as over the IRA, now such as over the IRA, example, are inevitable, okay, and should be viewed as a way for countries to learn from one another and improve their policies. Okay, it at least talks about some learning. Let's compare it with option C. Frictions between allies, particularly over the IRA, so far so good, are a necessary step towards their learning to cooperate with each other for better outcomes in the future. So I am happy with this entire answer choice, except for the choice of one word, and that word is necessary. Why will friction be a necessary step? Miano does not call it necessary. She does not go on to say that this is the only way in which they can learn to work better among themselves, and that is why I'd say that C is a distortion and should be eliminated, and thus the best answer for us for question number 5 should be B. So fifth, our answer is B. Here is the next one for you. Question 6. Volkswagen describes the incentive as akin to gold rush. So there is an analogy used. What does this analogy truly convey? So you know what an analogy is, right? Analogy is when we compare two situations. Then the idea behind that comparison usually is to convey our point with greater clarity. So for instance, one of the most well-known analogies in literature comes from Romeo and Juliet, or Shakespeare, where somebody asks Romeo, what is Juliet to you? And he says, Juliet is the sun. And that metaphors are a special type of analogy. That metaphor sums it all up. So it allows you to convey a lot in a very concise manner. It allows you to convey things rooted in the other person's experiences. So similarly, when I look at the analogy here, a gold rush. What was a gold rush? There was a time in the US where in some states people found gold, and because people found gold, everybody suddenly wanted to benefit from that. So a lot of people went to that region. They borrowed money, they bought equipment or rented equipment, they started digging, but then of course only a few of them could find any gold deposits. The rest of them actually went bankrupt, they became worse off. So that's what a gold rush stood for. And when Volkswagen says this in 4th paragraph towards the end, that's the key point that we need to keep in mind. Now if you compare these options, A is the only one which says highly competitive, limited pool of resources and opportunities. But if you look at B, vast potential for profits available, not true. C is not even talking about the analogy. It is not even talking about the gold rush. It just comments on Volkswagen's attitude. So this is ruled out. D, the company sees the US as a highly promising market for electric vehicles with the potential for explosive growth, profits similar to those historic gold rushes of the 19th century. But no, it's not. Gold rush was not something which was highly promising. The lure was big, but eventually not many people are going to benefit from that. So D in that sense distorts that understanding of the gold rush and thus should be eliminated. So the best answer choice for us is option A. So question number 6, A it is. Let's have a look at the next one now. All of the following represent the goals of Joe Biden's Made in America policies except. So what all did they want to do? US-China rivalry, right? So displaying American influence internationally. Was that the goal? One of them, yes. Diverting corporate investment to America. Now this, oh man, this is subtle. The policy was aiming at certain things. B happened to be a fallout of it. It was not something that they were going for. This was a second order impact. So will this represent the goal? No, it turned out to be a fallout. Generating domestic employment, very clearly mentioned. Supporting key industries, very clearly mentioned. So you just need to look at second and third paragraph and you'd find that A, C and D are given there. 4th paragraph onwards, we know that this happened as a byproduct. It was not a goal, and that is why our answer to question number 7 should be option B. So 7th, B it is. And here comes the last question of the passage, question number 8. Which of the following, if true, would most strengthen Adam Pausen's viewpoint that Biden's industrial policy is ultimately self-defeating? So what did that industrial policy want? We've just gone through the previous question. It wanted the US industries to grow, become robust, become local, generate employment, all those things. Now we want to prove that it is not going to happen. The industries will not be in a good state because of the steps taken. So let's see. A, the US is experiencing a shortage of skilled workers in the strategic industries targeted by the policy. This does not weaken it. It simply means that you do not have enough manpower, but then you can attract that manpower and fix it. So you need to continue with the same policy. It is just that you need more workers. So it is not strengthening Adam Pausen's point. B, China is making rapid advances in key technologies that could give it a decisive edge in future conflicts. If B is true, US should continue with what they are doing. Then following that policy becomes necessary for them. So the policy is not self-defeating, it is useful. B goes on to weaken Adam Pausen's point. Okay, C, the cost of subsidies and incentives significantly higher than originally projected. So okay, So subsidies are a lot higher than what you wanted. It means that your profitability may take a hit, but it can still help your industries grow and become dominant players. It's only the cost which has increased. The basic thought behind the policy is still intact. D. Many US companies have experienced the negative impact of the policy on their global supply chain and competitiveness. Now, D very clearly says that this policy is affecting the very organizations adversely, the organizations that you wanted to help. So this, yes, supports Adam Pausen's viewpoint and weakens the fact that the American government's policy is sound. So our answer for question number 8 should be option D. So that takes care of our second passage, and with that, let's move over to the next one.